Ain't love grand? It is truly a beautiful thing when two people meet and fall in love. For many of us, we meet these people at work or someplace and try to keep it hidden from the watchful eye of human resources. But in Hollywood, there is more than HR watching your every move. Paparazzi stalk you, shooting 100 photos a minute to sell the juiciest one to the tabloids for the rest of the world to eat up with their morning coffee. The bigger the star you are, the more attention any photograph gets you. And Johnny Depp was no stranger to having his love life plastered on every tabloid magazine or one of those hack celebrity news TV shows. So when he started dating a young woman 23 years his junior, it was bound to get some headlines. But I'm not sure they were the headlines that this Pirates of the Caribbean star wanted. They say that many marriages end in divorce, but how many end up in a courtroom with the whole frickin' world watching? It's time we take a deeper look at this scandalous controversy that has become known as Depp versus Heard.
Just said to me, you're defending yourself against me about something I didn't f***ing do, and I'm not gonna fight with you because I know this shit lasts forever.
In a post-OJ world, watching celebrities crash and burn became almost more popular than the entertainment they produced. It is that reason that the marriage and the destruction of that marriage of Amber Heard and Johnny Depp gripped our nation. It came conveniently at a time when women finally had a voice in the world to speak up about the abuses that they had suffered. Suddenly, the mindset that we had to believe all women took over the culture, for better and, of course, for worse. And for all of the good that the #MeToo movement did, we are finding out that some women did take advantage of this movement. So in the back of some of our minds, the question was, would some of these women use this voice to fabricate events in order to tarnish the names of innocent men? The story of Amber Heard and Johnny Depp begins on February 5th, 2009. That is the day Amber Heard landed the coveted role of the female lead opposite Johnny Depp in the adaptation of Hunter S. Thompson's The Rum Diaries, a role that she won out over actresses such as Scarlett Johansson and Keira Knightley. It was obvious from the get-go that there was chemistry between these two. On the stand of his defamation lawsuit, Johnny Depp described the moment they filmed their first kiss. He said that there was something in this kiss, something he was feeling that he knew he should not be feeling, because at the time they were both in relationships and it simply never went any further than professional kisses at work. The two would end up doing the promotional rounds for the film 2 years later, where again their chemistry just felt so natural. It wouldn't be long before Johnny Depp would split from his longtime partner, and he and Amber Heard would begin seeing each other in private. Amber Heard says of their early time together that she fell head over heels in love with the actor, and that when she was with Johnny Depp, she felt like the most beautiful person in the world. Of course, if you are one of the biggest stars in the world, your romantic life can't stay secret for very long, and soon the world would know that Johnny Depp and Amber Heard were a thing. They changed their status to in a relationship. By early 2014, the pair had announced their engagement. Well, not so much announced as Heard was spotted sporting a nice piece of expensive jewelry on her finger. You know, on the finger that's generally used to signify some sort of commitment. After appearing in a bit part in Amber Heard's critically reviled film London Fields, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard would tie the knot in early February 2015. In a private ceremony on a private island in the Bahamas that Johnny Depp owns. So far so great, right? But then, on April 2015, the blissfully, or so it seemed, wedded couple decided to take a trip to Australia, where Johnny Depp was shooting a movie. The couple decided they did not want to be away from their beloved poopy little dogs, Pistol and Boo. And despite knowing the strict biosecurity laws of Australia, namely that you must declare all plants and animals you bring into the country as a way to protect the health of the people in Australia, but you know, because they're big old movie stars, they can do whatever they want, and they decided to skirt those pesky little international laws and bring the dogs with them. By the month of May, the authorities were made aware of the animals, and the Australian government gave the puppies a euthanasia deadline. Luckily, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard were able to get the animals out of Australia just hours before they were frickin' killed. That deadline was about to become a reality. In July of that year, it would only be Amber Heard who was criminally charged for this event. The case lingered for several months, with Amber Heard demanding her lawyers maintain a plea of not guilty. Yet by April 2016, Amber Heard would plead guilty to falsifying quarantine documents, claiming that she simply made a mistake due to sleep deprivation. You guys? Criminal charges were dropped, with Amber Heard ordered to pay a fine of money, with Depp and Heard releasing a very unintentionally comical apology video shortly after. For many, this sounded like a clear-cut case of someone who thought she was above the laws, who quickly realized she wasn't. She was like, "Shut up, Australia, I'm Amber Heard." Whether that event was the beginning of the end for the couple, or maybe things had already been on the decline, by May of 2016, Amber Heard filed for divorce from Johnny Depp and got a restraining order against him, alleging that Johnny Depp had been verbally and physically abusive to her while under the influence of drugs and alcohol over the course of their 15-month marriage. These allegations were furthered by Heard appearing outside the courthouse with what appeared to be bruises on her face, an allegation that Johnny Depp unequivocally denied. For the public at large, this was a bombshell revelation. Not so much the divorce, that happens all the frickin' time in Hollywood, despite how in love the couple seemed in public. But yeah, like I said, it was a Hollywood marriage and no one expects those to last. But the fact that Amber Heard was alleging that Johnny Depp was abusive was unfathomable to his legions of dedicated fans. This was a man who had built a reputation on and off the screen of being nothing short of a stand-up human being. An all-around nice guy, I guess. He has donned his Jack Sparrow outfit and has gone to children's hospitals around the world simply to make sick children smile, and he donated his entire salary to the daughter of the late Heath Ledger when he took over for the Dr. Parnassus movie. He is a performer that always felt like an outcast, and for many of us, that made him so much more relatable than a polished actor ever could. He's a talented character actor who unfortunately is trapped in a movie star's body, but he desperately tries not to be a movie star, which made him a movie star. And yeah, I don't know if y'all remember Pirate Mania, but Johnny Depp was like the most loved person alive for a long time. But he was a noted drinker. He famously has a tattoo that says "Wino Forever." It used to say Winona, and he admitted to self-medicating himself with alcohol, but he says that he isn't an alcoholic. While there are rumored reports of him causing delays in the filming of the last Pirates of the Caribbean movie due to his drinking and hangovers. And the reports about Johnny Depp's love of alcoholic beverages had many of us take pause and say, well, you know, we don't really know Johnny Depp. We don't really know any of these frickin' celebrities behind closed doors. We like to think we do. We see him in interviews and we see him in movies and we like him, but we don't know who any of these people are when the cameras aren't rolling. By August 2016, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard finalized their divorce, with Johnny Depp agreeing to pay Amber Heard the lump sum of $7 million, with the actors releasing a joint statement that basically said their relationship was based on passion and that they'll always be bonded by love, and that neither party has made false accusations for financial gain. They went on to say there was never any intent of physical or emotional harm. Those words were chosen very carefully, as Heard has accused Johnny Depp of physical and emotional harm, while Johnny Depp said that the divorce and restraining order were a straight-up cash grab. As a way to prove it wasn't a straight-up cash grab, Amber Heard agreed to give the entire $7 million settlement to charity. It wasn't pretty, but at the time it seemed like it was over and done with, finalizing it in 2017 with a non-disparagement clause, which essentially meant that neither party could say anything negative about the other. And then came that UK publication, The Sun, that posted headlines straight up calling Johnny Depp a quote-unquote wife-beater. 'Cause that's how journalism works. Considering these allegations of abuse were said by one person, and then seemingly recanted, the term wife-beater seemed a stretch. Depp did not waste any time to file a lawsuit against the paper's parent company, with both Depp and Heard testifying during the summer of 2020. During the trial, it came to light that Amber Heard had yet to donate the $7 million settlement to any charity. And I'm not exactly an expert at British people law, or how, the courts work in the UK, but it appears the High Court of Justice, as judges are called in the UK, found that the paper's use of the term wife-beater was warranted. Depp's legal team would file an appeal, but it seemed like they were not interested in hearing it, and the original ruling was upheld. Johnny Depp would then not reprise his role as Gellert Grindelwald. Is that how you say it? I don't care. The person he played in Fantastic Beasts, The Secrets of Dumbledore. Perhaps feeling empowered by the recent court ruling, Amber Heard penned an op-ed piece for the Washington Post with the headline, "Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change." The piece spoke of her allegations of abuse at the hands of an unnamed man. I wonder who it could be. She discusses how her speaking up about the alleged violence saw the institutions protect him rather than side with her. She never named Johnny Depp in the piece, but it was blatantly obvious that it was Johnny Depp whom she was referring to throughout the entire op-ed. And it was also a bit weird that Amber Heard would pen such a piece, as Amber Heard was arrested in 2009 for domestic violence against her then-girlfriend. However, it should be reported that Amber Heard's girlfriend says that the story was blown out of proportion and over-sensationalized by the media. It would not take long for Johnny Depp to finally say enough is enough and file a $50 million defamation claim over Amber Heard's op-ed, saying that he never abused her, and she was actually the one who abused him. Whereas the last trial was an international affair taking place in the UK courts, sealed off from the prying eyes of the media, this new trial would take place in some place called Fairfax County, Virginia, due to the location of the newspaper that printed the piece. So now, the judge in the case would allow cameras in the court, saying that the media would be there anyway and cause way more issues than if she just allowed the cameras to come in the court. The world would finally be able to hear the truth from each side and decide for themselves who to believe. After a bit of a lawyer merry-go-round between Heard and Depp, the trial got underway on April 12, 2022. It was a media firestorm, with fans traveling from all across the country to stand outside the courthouse, because they had nothing else to do.
Hey, Amber.
Amber, did Johnny give you that bruise on your face? Did Johnny beat you up?
Both sides made their opening arguments in which Johnny Depp's team claimed that Amber Heard had staged all instances of abuse, even as going as far as using makeup to create the bruises that had been seen on the photos published online. Something that witnesses said that they did not see Amber Heard have any bruises on her face in the days prior to those photos. The trial would reveal some things about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard that they probably would have preferred remained private. Text messages between Johnny Depp and a friend were read aloud for the whole world to hear, with Johnny Depp saying some pretty horrible, nasty things, like what he would do to Amber Heard's dead body. He also mentions having intercourse with her burnt corpse just to make sure she's dead. These texts were not exactly the works of Shakespeare, and I'm sure he didn't type them while sober. Speaking of being sober, Johnny Depp's drug use was also discussed in great detail, with the actor admitting to using all sorts of drugs with all sorts of people, like Marilyn Manson. Oh my. The biggest point of the trial was that Johnny Depp maintains he never physically abused Amber Heard, and that Amber Heard manufactured her claims to sway public opinion, and the evidence seemed to be mounting in his favor. There was an infamous fight that took place in Australia, where Amber Heard threw a vodka bottle at him and basically cut off the tip of his finger. Perhaps the biggest piece of evidence that Johnny Depp's team had was an audio recording of Amber Heard straight up admitting to physically assaulting Johnny Depp, while even egging him on by calling him a baby. For their part, Amber Heard's team would show a video secretly recorded by Amber Heard at the time, when Johnny Depp was obviously intoxicated and slamming cabinet doors and screaming. The problem with this piece of video was that sure, it showed that Johnny Depp was a drunk with a bit of an anger issue, but it did not show what Amber Heard had accused Johnny Depp of, being physically violent. Perhaps the biggest problem with Amber Heard's defense was that the actress didn't seem to be believable, and her team simply was not prepared for what they were up against. They tried to claim that Heard had used a very specific brand of makeup to cover up her bruises so that no one could see them prior to the photos. Yet, the next day that claim was made, the cosmetic company, Milani Cosmetics, posted a video saying that it was impossible for their product to have been used at the time because the product at question was not on the market at the time. Another claim that Heard lobbied while on the stand was that Johnny Depp had reportedly pushed ex-girlfriend Kate Moss down a flight of stairs. One thing you must do when on the stand is make sure your facts are bulletproof. And as soon as Amber Heard made those claims under oath, Johnny Depp's team immediately went into action. And shortly after, Kate Moss was on the digital stand saying that this event simply never happened. For many, these two moments were key turning points in the trial, as they directly conveyed the fact that Amber Heard was simply not telling the truth. And if she wasn't telling the truth about those things, what the f*** else is she lying about? And then there was that fecal matter. You know, poop. Perhaps the most bizarre part of this entire wild and crazy mess is the story of how Johnny Depp accused Amber Heard of pooping on his side of the bed. Miss Heard says that that fecal matter was actually left by one of the poopy little dogs. But when asked about this poop on the stand, Johnny Depp laughed and basically said, how could a tiny little Yorkie pinch off a duke that was roughly as big as the animal itself? It didn't pass the smell test, as you could say. According to testimony from Johnny Depp's chauffeur and security guard, Amber Heard told them that the poop in question was actually a practical joke gone horribly wrong. This story is certainly humorous, and it's made plenty of headlines with the internet dubbing her Amber Turd. But again, it ultimately spoke to the lies that she seemingly made up to justify her own poopy little actions. For many experts, Johnny Depp's case was an uphill battle. Defamation cases are rarely successful, but what Depp's legal team was able to do was show the reason why America fell in love with Johnny Depp in the first place. And even more important, why Amber Heard was not to be believed. On June 1st, 2022, the jury of the case came back and found in favor of Johnny Depp, saying that the statements made in Amber Heard's op-ed were false and designed to defame Johnny Depp with malice. Johnny Depp was awarded $10.3 million, while the jury found that Depp's former lawyer had made a defamatory statement about Heard with malice when he said that Heard's claims were a hoax, so they awarded her $2 million. The two sides would appeal the decisions, ultimately coming to a settlement and dropping the appeals, with Heard saying that she dropped the appeals simply because she did not want to go through another trial, and that she had lost faith in the American legal system. In another strike to Amber Heard, prior to her op-ed, she had taken out an insurance policy that would cover any costs associated with a defamation lawsuit. After the trial, the companies refused to pay, saying that because the jury found that the statements were made with actual malice, they were exempt from paying. As of today, these companies are still suing Amber Heard, with Ms. Heard filing a motion to have the case dismissed. For his part, Johnny Depp was never worried about the money. He pledged to donate any money received from the trial to charity, which he did. Amber Heard also pledged to donate money to charity, which she didn't. As you know, the trial, it went on for several weeks and would be a highly publicized affair. Clips of the trial would score millions of views online, while anyone with a phone and a YouTube channel could opt their opinions on everything from eye contact to body language. The trial captivated the nation. But yeah, with all those various sound bites and some serious bad acting by some on the stand, we all kinda looked at this trial with smirks barely contained. Accusations like this can be career-ending. Even though Johnny Depp came out on the other side of this trial, with his good name restored, there are still many people who now have a lesser opinion of the actor. While Amber Heard has taken the brunt of the vitriol, with even petitions to have her recasted in the Aquaman films. It would seem in Hollywood, Amber Heard wasn't just disliked by her former beau, but also her co-stars as well. According to a recent bombshell report by Variety, which cited a Reddit thread where some of Johnny Depp's fans apparently paid the legal fees to obtain the notes that were part of last year's high-profile trial written by Amber Heard's therapist. And in these Amber Heard therapist notes, Amber told the therapist about a hostile work environment on the set of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, where star Jason Momoa apparently showed up dressed up like Johnny Depp while intoxicated, which she thought was, to scare her or something. Heard also says that Jason Momoa pushed to have Heard fired. And much like a lot of Amber Heard stories, the problem with these claims is that the only source is Amber, and she ain't a reliable source. Variety spoke to another person on the set who remained anonymous, who said that Jason Momoa never showed up late or drunk to the set, and that his attire was never mimicking Johnny Depp's, but rather just the way Jason Momoa already dresses. And yeah, you have to admit that Momoa and Depp, they probably shop at the same stores, or whatever. Similar fashion sense, if that's what you call this. So maybe Amber Heard was just kind of paranoid and overreacting or so, I don't know. But perhaps Amber Heard was already on the defense once cameras started rolling on the film, because it was revealed that Amber Heard very nearly was fired from the film before it even went into production, with the filmmakers and the studio wanting to cut her out due to lack of chemistry with Jason Momoa. At the time, Amber Heard was dating Elon Musk, who had paid a high-priced attorney to send a strongly worded letter to Warner Brothers, strongly suggesting that they should not remove Amber from the film, and, they would regret it if they did. This all happened before that lawsuit was even filed, but according to Heard, once it was filed and she was on the set, and it was a part of everyday tabloid headlines, it became an annoyance for the director, James Wan, who, according to Amber Heard, in those released therapy notes, would yell at her and say things like she couldn't even post about the movie on social media. A spokesperson for DC came out and said that James Wan is known to create incredibly positive and collaborative sets. While that reply from the studio head seems to be a bit boilerplate, the fact remains that enough of what Amber Heard has proclaimed as truth has been proven to be not true, made up in her own brain. So it stands to reason that these claims made about director James Wan are also likely figments of a professional victim's imagination. 'Cause, unfortunately, she has cried wolf far too many times. There is no doubt that the relationship between Heard and Depp was an unhealthy one. Who is to blame for the deterioration is not up for us to decide. They were simply not right for each other. But the claims made against Johnny Depp were serious, and Depp, knowing his truth that the claims were false, decided to take action and restore his name. And in doing so, he forced the public at large to take sides to finally dig past the headlines and listen to facts. For some, those facts supported Heard's claims. For others, including the 12 people on the jury, the facts sided with Johnny Depp. And really, there is no winner here. Because of these false allegations, now real victims of real violence have to deal with this environment that Amber Heard created. The controversies of this case consumed us all of us who cared, and this case may have a monumental impact on future cases, for men and women alike.